Bar, 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 bar. Bar, 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 bar.
Sounds like you're a
Bar,
lizard voice
bar,
there,
bar,
Mike.
bar, 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 bar. Bar, 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 bar.
Captain
That was the
Kirk. Welcome to Yelling at Gaseous Anomalies, everyone. Tonight's a very special episode. Tonight we're talking about something really cool. But first, let's do our introductions again. It's Captain Matt Ross. Welcome to Yelling at Gaseous Anomalies. And I'm joined once again, by my very musical number one, XO, Mike Pontone. How we doing tonight, Mike?
Mike, the Menagerie Lizard Man Pontone, XO for number one to my Captain Matt Ross, doing pretty well, ready to tackle this week. Sunday scaries are here, but they shall be conquered, just like the Gorn.
The Gorn. I love this Gorn. This is tonight we're talking about one of the best episodes of Star Trek. It's called of the original series. It's called Arena. It's originally from Arena. It's from 1967. Yes, everyone, it's the one with the Gorn, the man in the rubber suit. If you've seen Star Trek before, you know this episode. If you haven't seen Star Trek before, you know this episode. This has been parodied, mocked, reshown, and various things, and ruined by Strange New Worlds. But that's a story for another time.
Quick aside, by the way, I've got a beef to pick. I've got a beef and a bone to pick with the people who have mocked this episode, because I thought that this episode was a joke. I thought it was going to be similar to the vegetable people episode of Lost in Space.
Oh my God.
This was a great episode.
This was an awesome episode. It's probably because it's based on a real science fiction story as opposed to,
yes,
I don't know, some drug-infused dream. I don't know. That was really crazy that the planet of vegetables from Lost. I hate Lost in Space so much. It was too jokey, and that was something that Gene Roddenberry wanted to stay away from, which is the jokiness. And there is not much to joke about this, except maybe the opening lines of the episode. But let's just back for a little bit. This is also noteworthy because it has Joseph Pevney as the director. He is one of the most prolific directors of Star Trek. Him and Mark Daniels both have 14 episodes each. Joe Pevney actually deserves his own backstory as director. He was like everybody's director. He directed Rock Hudson, Errol Flynn, hundreds of TV shows, movies, you name it, he did it. He was known as an efficient director. Funny thing about this was he was told that if he did this on time, he'd get a $500 bonus, which doesn't sound like a lot. It's about $5,000 in today's money. That's actually pretty good.
Did he get it?
Yes, he did. But he also worked with Sid Charisse, Tony Curtis. It just keeps going on and on and on. It's pretty impressive. And he directed a very tight episode. I really like this one. I consider this one of the best of all of the original series, if not the best.
Well, let's keep the people, not in suspense. Let's do the plot synopsis.
Okay.
From IMDb: for bringing hostility into their solar system, a superior alien race brings Captain Kirk into mortal combat against the reptilian captain of an alien ship he was pursuing. Yes. What does the original 1966 plotter have?
Let's see there. It says, the fate of the Enterprise hinges on the outcome of a personal duel between Captain Kirk and the lizard-like commander of an alien spaceship. On a barren asteroid, the unarmed Kirk must rely on ingenuity to defeat his powerful adversary. From TV Guide, July 1, 1967, when this was actually shown. So this was actually a great episode. This is we start off where we come to Cestussssss 3. By the way, Cestussssss 3 is mentioned again in Deep Space Nine. If you're all paying attention, that's where Commander Sisko, or Captain Sisko's girlfriend, Cassidy Yates' brother, lives, and where they go watch a baseball game. So Cestussssss 3. They are being
makes a full recovery, apparently.
Apparently, they are told they're going to beam down. The commander says, "Hey, of the Cestussssss 3 science outpost says, bring your tactical people down." Yeah, there's nothing weird about that. We got a problem for you. And so that's also Spock actually notices that right away, and you have that little bit of Kirk and McCoy talking about how they like to abuse their rank because rank hath its privileges, which is a time-honored tradition.
Joy comes to Travers. He sets a good table. I wonder if he brought his personal chef along with him to Cestussssss. Probably. Rank hath its privileges.
I thought that was actually funny, that little banter back there where Spock calls McCoy a sensualist. He goes, "You bet your pointed ears."
Yes.
That's actually one of the funniest.
Well, he is.
He is.
You know, he likes a bit of the true. He enjoys the true. He enjoys some beef. I was watching Undiscovered Country the other night, and I loved that, they all get drunk on the Romulan ale, and one person says, "I'm going to go sleep this off," and he goes, "I'm going to find a pot of black coffee." Like a true drunk, he's like, no, there's no sleeping it off. There's staying up until you're not drunk and then going to sleep.
Note to the galley, Romulan ale no longer to be served at diplomatic functions.
Yes, I think that none of them were, as Spock says, no one was Emily Post. I think that's actually pretty funny. If anyone doesn't know who Emily Post is, Google it. Anyway, this was actually...
no, wait, I got points for you. I got questions for you on
we
this.
Haven't even gotten to the
very
planet.
Obvious one. Yeah, well, okay. My wife asked this question. It's a general question about just what the hell was going on with these actors. DeForest Kelley is wearing eyeshadow. Why is that?
It's just, that's all because that's the way that this picks up. This is because they're under bright arc lights the entire time. Some of this is filmed at in the evening. There's actually a really funny meme where it's Leonard Nimoy as Spock and Zachary Quinto as Spock, and he goes, the line is like, "Is it logical to wear eyeshadow?" "No, but it is fabulous," says Leonard Nimoy. I think that's hilarious. But yeah, that's really because of the lighting on the show. You'll notice they all are wearing heavy makeup. You got heavy cameras, bright white lights all over the place. And if you go on a TV set or movie set without makeup, you're going to look like a zombie. Your skin gets kind of drained. Even I don't know if you did drama in high school. I did as well. We also used makeup. I was in lighting and stage directing, and the lights, if you do bright white spotlights on people, they look like they're Return of the Living Dead. I
put a little blush on my lips, a little foundation.
Well, that's you.
I would do that.
That's
a
you.
Little eyeliner
that's
too.
you normally, I understand. But that's
hello, boys. This is true.
But hey,
I'm not allowed to talk about what Matt said I wasn't allowed to talk on the show about.
No,
so
you're not allowed to talk about that. We're
going
to just beam down to the planet now. When we beam down to the planet, it's like, dun-dun, suddenly they get there. Cestussssss 3 has been destroyed. That's a wild...
Dude.
That was incredible set. And
I was about to say, that was my big note. Like, awesome set. Did they build it for this? Just for this? No.
This is actually from a film earlier in the 1900s. It's actually supposed to be a set for a war scene in India. But it looks like what in God's name happened? There is a really interesting or cool thing that I'm going to point out. Unless you have the regular version or the enhanced version of Star Trek, you don't know this, but when they're standing there and they're looking around, you see like in the lower left-hand corner, and this is very detailed, there's like a crater, and you see the whole colony. The original scene, they could not get a wire out of the camera's way, which cut diagonally from the top left-hand corner all the way down to the right, and couldn't move it anywhere. What they did is they put a piece of black cloth on it so it was waving in the breeze, so it looked even like more distressed, like it was a piece of curtain flapping in the breeze. But they edited that out now, but it's still, even with the knowing that, it still looked like a horrific scene where they have all this destruction and obviously some bad shit went down, so to speak.
Yeah, really good set design, and honestly puts TNG sets with their first couple of seasons with their paper mache rocks and their backdrop that's like 10 feet behind the actors of the horizon, puts it to shame. Whatever they do locations on this, it looks fantastic. Although that being said, even Galileo 7, that was all on the soundstage. That looked pretty good as well.
Yep. And think of a lot of Americans did not have color TVs, so if you're seeing this in black and white, you really can't tell anything. But even with color and standard definition, which is how we all saw it for many a year, it was like, wow, this is wild. And this is a war scene at the beginning. They're looking for survivors. They find one and like what's left of something, some area of the base that was blown to hell. I think it's the communication shack or the radio shack. No, not the store. And they're trying to get where they're to someplace safe. They're being bombed, and you hear the bombing sounds going off. That's all pretty well, but one of the things that happened, Jim Rugg, the special effects person, put too much boom in the booms, as our Bible, These Are the Voyages TOS says. It's also a known fact. So Nimoy and Shatner actually suffered a little bit of tinnitus from this, all the explosions. But that entire scene, running away and then trying to find where they're going. I even like the thing where Spock notices tricorders. They lock onto his tricorder and it explodes.
Very ingenious. They fed back my own impulses and built up an overload.
Yeah. See, that was cool because I really liked that the Gorn, despite looking like big monster creatures, are technologically more advanced than the Federation,
or at least
we can see.
It's at least
pardon,
or at least on par. Like maybe
they
heard that.
I never saw.
Yeah,
I mean, the red shirt there, he just was standing and suddenly got, I don't know, vaporized.
It was
not
a
exactly
disruptor.
sure by what.
That's Ensign O'Hurley. He's the first one to die. That's actually very funny. There's I forget actually there are YouTubers that use that as like the please stand by. But he's the first one to go. You have Kelowitz, who was from the Galileo 7 there. He's in the blue shirt, and you have Lang, who's you don't see, gets killed in a little bit, but Kelowitz survives. I also like the fact how even Spock points out, like, yeah, they've got like pretty much like long range disruptors. We got hand phasers. We're screwed, man. That's true.
Listen, I got notes.
Go ahead.
Echoes of Future Trek. I like how they are engaged in combat in space, so they cannot lower their shields in order to teleport out. I think that's the first time that they actually were not able to use their transporters because they had the shields up, although it drove me nuts that they use the word screens, defensive screens, about 1,000 times.
Yeah, they don't
They've
use the
not
word
gotten to shields yet.
Yeah, they don't actually say shields for a while.
Right.
But go on. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's fine. I dug their Federation-issued grenade launcher. Why don't we have cool shit like that in TNG or DS9? Why is it always just a phaser or a phaser rifle? Come on, man. That thing was awesome. And the explosion, the fact that it was a future grenade launcher, it just leveled that mountain. That was tight. That was sweet, dude.
It was
the
great.
action in this is amazing right off the bat.
Yes. It really is. And then, in Sulu in command, even Spock knows like he's an experienced combat officer. Combat from what? We haven't seen that. So that's something that I like, is that unlike a future Trek like Star Trek Enterprise, or Enterprise as it's called, everyone's like, oh, everything's fine. We're all like happy and so forth. But not this Star Trek. This Star Trek's like, yeah, we've seen some stuff, man. We're not going to fool around out there. So I like that fact.
Also, it might not have been Sulu's first post.
No, it's not. But the thing that's nice about it is that not everyone's like peace and love, as what we're led to believe. It's peace through superior firepower. That's the way to go.
Well, not only that. I mean, that's the thing. It's this is being written by veterans, probably, right?
Well,
people who have probably had some experience in Korea or World War II, or at the very least, probably went through basic training.
Or Gene Kuhn, who was in the military, read the actual story written by Frederick Brown and didn't realize he wrote the entire same story that Legal found out later from NBC. Could be that, too.
I'm glad, I read that story, and I'm so glad that apparently everyone was real chill. Like, yeah, give me some money, I'll let you do it.
Yeah, he really liked the script, but it's so bizarre. It's you always see people saying oh, I like Vanilla Ice saying, oh no, I didn't copy David Bowie, when he clearly did. But at least thank goodness for the lawyers at NBC. Everyone says
what?
Yes.
These things just always happen. Deep Impact, Armageddon,
yes.
The Prestige, The Illusionist. In fact, David Milch, writer of one of my top 3 favorite TV shows of all time, Deadwood, said that he first went to HBO and he said, listen, I want to do a show set in ancient Rome about police detectives. And it's we're already developing an ancient Rome show, so what else do you have? Sometimes these things just occur. I mean, there are only so many stories and permutations.
Huh. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But what's neat is, or what I find actually funny about that story where, so this originally was, Gene Kuhn wrote this in a couple of days. And then NBC Legal noticed this is exactly like a sci-fi story. That means someone actually read things by a writer named Frederick Brown who wrote a story called Arena. What a weird coinkydink. And also it's a story where aliens bomb a Earth colony, and an Earth colony ship assigned to defend it chase down the bad guys, while an alien force stops both of them so they can fight each other on their own little arena to prove who is morally superior. But this is that's the exact same story. But what I really like about this is about some people say that in the traditional writing stories, this is like man versus environment. It's actually man versus himself. I actually, I actually agree with that. It's, you got your high-minded ideals, and are you actually doing the right thing? I'm kind of simplifying it, but I mean that's what this is. What did you feel on this?
What, like the whole thrust of the show?
Yeah, I mean, did you? I don't know.
I actually thought it was. It really reminded me of. I mean, it reminded me of a bunch of different things. So I have a bunch of my references written down here. So first, once again, shout out to my favorite person in the world, one of them at least, Mike Stolkasa, who, when reviewing. Well, no, I said one of them, man. Come on, I got my dog right here. You think you're more favorite than the dog? No, but you're in the top pantheon.
Well, anyway. I'm used to being on the bottom on lists. I'm married, but go on.
Oh, giggity! You're number one in my heart, Matt Ross. He's my husband now.
That's good to me.
So Mike Stolkasa was reviewing Starship Troopers, and he said, "Hey, as he's wont to do, this is like Star Trek. What did we know about Starship Troopers?" So we're like, "Oh, big ugly aliens. They're terrible. They have to be destroyed." Except when you're looking between the lines as an adult and as an historian, you're essentially looking at the Nazis invading Africa and then claiming that the Africans who are fighting back from being invaded are savages and have to be exterminated. So what do we have here? We've got this colony that invaded Gorn space, and the Gorn are like, you know what? You're not supposed to be here. You're invading our territory. We're going to kill you for it. So it was that kind of concept of we're seeing everything from our perspective, and I think that this does a really good job of showing it from their perspective. It also really reminded me of, Matt, have you read Old Man's War?
Yes, I have read Old Man's War. Yes, it's very similar.
Right. Well, the concept of alien warfare and that colonies are a premium and that you cannot judge a book by its color, by its cover. We see the Gorn. It looks like a big, stupid monster. It's at least as technologically advanced as humans. So, Matt, tell me, as a historian, does the Gorn come back in the mainstream continuity?
Yes, actually it does, but only in Enterprise. It's really bizarre. So if you think about it, so Enterprise is 90s, 2000s, and that's when it comes back. And only one, or actually a two-part episode, A Mirror Darkly, which is the Mirror Universe episode of Star Trek Enterprise. That's the only time they come back. But of course, then you have them in Strange New Worlds, where they've turned them into the alien from Aliens. And I'm like, are you serious? And they've done a really bad job on it.
So it just took away all the intelligence?
We can talk to that at the end if you want. But in this one, they're very smart. They're the same thing as us. There's actually some good IDW comic books on them where there's one crew member who goes like, I don't know, I can't stand lizard people, cold-blooded aliens. They give me the creeps. And at the end, as the Gorn science officer turns around, it's like, geez, I really can't stand warm-blooded mammals. They give me the creeps as they walk away. And I like that. I know it's written by, a human, but it's still pretty funny because I would no doubt feel that they feel the same way, a kind of revulsion. But there's something also that's interesting here is that after our little foray onto the planet where we discover that the Gorn had set this entire thing up, there's an interesting line here where between Spock and Kirk, where Kirk is saying, we have to stop these people because We're the only protection over here of the Federation. This is the first instance that we find out what the heck we're talking about. This is the first instance of a Federation. It's also the first instance of photon torpedoes, by the way. Which is actually...
Oh, really?
It's a sound of a wire being twanged, but I still think it's pretty cool. And you know where they got that photon torpedo sound?
Where?
The original War of the Worlds from the 50s. You ever see that one? That's, that's
I did. Yes, that's actually pretty scary.
I own that film. I love that film, and it's
very good.
It's kind of like War of the Worlds, the book, sort of, in a weird kind of way. But that's the one I always watched on TV. It used to be in New York on WOR TV. But
man, quick aside, can we do a little sidebar from Arena for a second?
Sure, go ahead.
So, War of the Worlds, famously, Orson Welles did it, freaked everyone out in New Jersey. They thought it was real. Have you ever heard of Ghostwatch 1992?
No, that one I have not heard of. But there was another sci-fi, by the way, where they watched it on TV and they thought that asteroids were actually hitting the Earth. And there's a good, funny line. It was a TV show, and when David Letterman came on, he goes... David Letterman, the talk show host, that's right, it's the end of the world, and only CBS has an exclusive. But what's on Ghostwatch?
Ghostwatch 1992 was a BBC show, and it was on Halloween night, and it had all the straight anchors, the people who normally did the news on BBC, doing a current affair thing, investigating a haunted house, some haunted going-ons at a council house. In the first 30 seconds of the show, they were like, okay, guys, this is all fake, right? We're doing a drama here. It's not real, and we're going to pretend that it's real. And then they got into it, and they played it completely straight. And it was terrifying. And because 75% of it is straightforward, and the last 25%, all hell breaks out. There are these murderous ghosts, and people get possessed and everything. So... Of course, this is back in 1992. They did not have TiVo. If you tuned in after the 30-second disclaimer, you have no context. One guy got so freaked out, Matt, he killed himself.
Well...
Documented suicide from this.
Well,
he was a slow adult.
When I used to be a computer teacher, someone took off 3 days because they saw The Matrix and they thought The Matrix was real. And as I told that person... I said, if it was, there's nothing you can do about it, right? And wouldn't you rather be in the Matrix where you have a job and you can eat as opposed to being unemployed? Yes, I was a manager. So, but anyway, there's something I want to point out. So the Enterprise and the Gorn are now chasing each other. Kirk just makes this a tremendous leap and says, you know what? This is obviously a prelude to invasion. I mean, it makes sense, kind of. They destroy a colony. They're fighting each other. They're using heavy weapons. What do you think about that assessment? Do you think that's fair, or do you think that that's jumping the gun?
Well, it's definitely jumping the gun. And in fact, I would even dare say, Matt, I like the episode. I'm not knocking the episode. It's a good episode. It's a little bad writing. It's a little Daenerys going insane in the last episode of Game of Thrones. This is a very aggressive martial stance for Kirk to take that he would not normally take. I understand, though, thematically, they're supposed to be saying, hey, you guys are both being too aggressive. Take a look at yourself.
That's true. I mean, that's the central issue. And, you would think with Kirk being like, you know what? Let's try and reach out to them. Oh, there's one other tie-in to the show. As the Yum Yum podcast, hi Ryan, hi Rachel. What they do is they did a total story or review of something called Space Above and Beyond. And it has a very similar theme. It's a 90s Fox show. That's still, fans like it. It's very militaristic. But it turns out... I'm going to just spoil something for you, that humans were actually not as peaceful as you're led on to believe, and that's the entire cause of the war. I'll just leave it like that. Don't forget
you
to
see
check...
that often. Isn't that the whole point of Ender's Game?
Well, that's true. Well, you know what? But the Chigs deserve to die. They came and touched Mother Earth.
By the way, okay, so let's get into it.
Okay.
We get into the planet. They're stranded here. And this is the central bone of contention.
Okay.
The reason why this episode is lambasted is because there are 10 seconds of the worst fight choreography you've ever seen.
Oh, you mean
even
the beginning?
made worse? Yes, even made worse by the line that Kirk says, which is, "Any mortal man would have been killed by those moves."
Come on, he double-fisted him and karate chopped him. You know what?
He's like, "Oh, that's it. They would have just shattered in half."
Well, you're saying what after the Metron stopped them. By the way, the Metrons, the voice is Vic Perrin. Perrin, he actually is the voice of Master Control from The Outer Limits. We control the
There's
vertical.
nothing wrong with your television set.
Yes.
There is nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission.
We control the horizontal and vertical. Yeah, but that fight scene at the beginning, that's really ridiculous. It's but you get the impression, and I always misinterpreted it first. When they're facing off each other, when the Metrons take Captain Kirk and the Gorn captain because they're too violent and we're going to put a stop to it, and they throw them in the planet. This is after traveling at warp 8. This alien race is able to stop both spaceships without them splattering the crew instantaneously.
Mm-hmm.
And they take the captains of both ships. They're going to fight each other. But there's this one moment before they start that very slow karate chop moves of Kirk. Is like, it looks like the Gorn is almost reaching out to him with like a hand, like, "Hey, what's up? Nice to meet you." Or like, "Is this in peace?" But it's kind of hard to tell. I mean, are you going to say the Gorn's instantaneously aggressive? Or was he trying to reach out? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I of course, yes. I think that he was aggressive. I thought it was a great reveal on the Gorn. You know, just boom, take full screen, close up.
Right.
You know, screaming. And of course, I'm watching the remastered version, so I get to see his eyes blink occasionally.
That's right. The eyes blinking there. I mean, yeah, it's a rubber mask. By the way, this was a dive suit that did not have a fly or zipper that went up to the stuntman's chest. He was complaining that when they told him, "Hey, would you like to do this?" "Sure." "Do you drink coffee?" "Yeah." "Drink a lot less that day." That's what they told him. How crazy is that?
Mean, cool outfit. I actually thought it was very well sculpted. I liked the muscles.
Yes.
I liked his little tunic. I liked that it was like, yeah, man, you know, he's not just a monster. He's civilized. He's got technology. He's going to wear clothing.
Yeah, Hua Chang, the production designer, made the Gorn. I think that's actually pretty good. I think, it's really awesome over there. You also have Ted Cassidy, that's Ruck, and Baylock, and also Lurch. He does the voice of the Gorn going, "Captain Kirk, this is your opponent speaking." I love that. You know, it was
joke.
great.
That was Lurch.
That was Lurch again.
Captain! Who is this, the Metron? This is your opponent, Earthling.
Isn't that wild? It's
yeah.
He does a lot of good voice acting in this. But when they're on the planet, the Metrons say they're things that you can make into weapons. But Kirk's actually for a long time saying, "Oh, gee, where's a hand phaser here?" And it's like it takes him like half that battle scene to figure like, "Oh wait, I can make them." The Gorn immediately takes to it.
Yeah, that was a little bit like they were really having a high view of humanity, saying MacGyver some crap together.
Yeah.
But I did like his little improvised space gun. I'm not going to lie. That was pretty sweet.
You mean the cannon? Well, that's actually funny. There's
the
a
space cannon.
Yeah. The thing that's really cool, there was a Mythbusters episode you could find on Vimeo where they actually, they go like, "Could you actually make that cannon?" And it was one of their things to see what they could do. And they actually recreate the scene even down to Spock going, "If he has the time. If he has the time." But yeah, there
Did it work?
No. They actually found that if you used a reinforced concrete and steel container with actual real gunpowder, then it would work, not the black powder mess that Kirk made. But again, this is on a weird planetoid with, who knows what the hell's going on. I mean, it was made specifically for this fight. Maybe everything was extra potent. Maybe they just said, we'll throw in some, cordite in there. He won't notice. Something like that. But they had the first fight. Kirk throws this, I would say a pretty heavy rock for, if you threw that at a person like a paving stone, you'd probably mess them up good. But then Gorn taking that huge boulder, throwing at him like, "Oh man, I'm screwed." And again, filmed at Vasquez Rocks, where a lot of Star Trek was filmed, like your favorite one, Shore Leave, Mike. But I love Vasquez Rocks. Yeah, that's also...
Although, you know what?
Yeah.
In a weird twist of fate here, I was thinking to myself, as much as I hated Shore Leave, the fight with Finnegan was pretty well choreographed.
Yes.
Where was the fight coordinator for that when they were doing the weird karate chops double fist on the Gorn?
Well, you know what? Come on. It's still pretty good. It's kind of fun.
Everything else but those 5 seconds are good. That's why I think those 5 seconds are why I thought this show was like a joke one.
Oh, really? No, this is not a joke at all. It's very serious.
No, it's not. It's very good.
Yeah, the one thing that I really also like in this is something that you have to look really carefully, but like Shatner's wearing like some like white clothing underneath him. This is a humorous thing. The Gorn actors were, of course, there's 2 stuntmen who were in that. They were sweating to death in that thing, but it was so cold at Vasquez Rock. Shatner's actually wearing thermal underwear. I find that that is absolutely hilarious. But they had a lot of fun over there on this thing over here. They were running all over the place. Shatner running all over the place. That was basically he was on a running retreat for most of this. I thought that was kind of fascinating. You know, you have this man who's like top of his game, so to speak, and he can't think of one thing to make. The Gorn's made a trap with reeds. It's made a giant blade out of looks like obsidian or something. I don't know. It's a little crazy that Kirk could not think of a damn thing. By the way,
well,
go ahead.
I'll throw you on that planet. Try to make you fight a giant lizard man.
Well, okay. You know, I'm game. Let's go. Snap your fingers, Q. But the stunt guy was Bobby Clark, by the way. That was his name. The other one was Bill Blackburn. So there are 2 stunt people in this. But it was a lot of good work. I thought that was fascinating. They were pointing out that the Gorn costume had like 12-inch tennis shoes, so they had a hard time going to the bathroom even after taking off the up to the midsection rubber suit, which also had gauntlets and a headpiece. But, they had trouble going to the bathroom because they couldn't fit into the bathroom because of the 12-inch tennis shoes and the stuff on top of it.
What do you mean fit into the bathroom?
They couldn't walk in. They couldn't. No, they weren't. This is a national park. So, it was actually private property. They couldn't get into like the porta-john because their feet were too big. Is that crazy?
Whatever.
I'm worried. Well, nothing like a good pee joke here and there. But
That's true.
Bobby Clark and Shatner got along well. Everyone thought everyone got along well. They filmed it on time. I just thought the idea of putting the cannon together when he's thinking it up, you got sulfur, potassium, nitrate, and coal. And that's how you make gunpowder, boys and girls. Of course, you need a lot of refining to make it actually do what it does, but that's still pretty neat. He finds that piece of bamboo, and bam! That's the story. And there's no, there's really no sub-point on there, but then we meet the Metrons again, and they are, when Kirk is about to kill the Gorn, he doesn't.
No, I won't kill him. Do you hear? You'll have to get your entertainment someplace else.
What were your thoughts on that? Was like, is that finally like, there's the Federation Kirk I know? What happened down there?
Yeah, most definitely. I thought, okay, that was certainly tracks with what I expected was going to happen. He was going to get the better of him, but of course, Kirk was never going to kill anyone in cold blood, especially someone that he realized has intelligence, is not just an animal. In many ways, so again, echoes a future Trek. I put down, this is kind of a reverse Dharma and Jalat at Tanagra, where 2 parties who don't understand each other fundamentally are thrust into a place of conflict with each other and learn to trust each other, at least to understand where each other's coming from.
That's true. And also it's revealed when Kirk and the Gorn captain actually talk to each other that it's very possible that the Federation strayed into territory that wasn't their own. The Gorn thought that the Federation were invaders. And so they were doing the same thing that Kirk was trying to do to the Gorn. Destroy them. That was the whole point of this thing. Like, maybe you guys need to talk to each other. So the Metrons weren't wrong.
Can that be true? Was Cestussssss an intrusion on their space? It may well be possible, Doctor. We know very little about that section of the galaxy, and we could be on the wrong. Perhaps. That is something best decided by diplomats. The Gorn simply might have been trying to protect themselves. Yes.
A little wrong, get out of everyone else's face, so to speak. But the Metrons again join a long list of all-powerful aliens telling everybody what they have to do. But I do.
Yeah, who are these Metrons, man? Why do they ever come back?
No, they say they come back in 1,000 years. There's one throwaway line in Star Trek Discovery, which I am so thrilled about, which you can tell from my tone. But the Metrons are pretty all-powerful that they can stop two starships dead cold from warp speed from several light years away. They are.
I guess they don't leave their solar system, right?
Guess not. But, when you actually see a Metron, maybe they got stuck in, like, a Greek cosplay. But I did like that. By the way, that's a woman playing the male Metron, or whatever it is. It's by Carol Shalane.
Yes, surprising.
Yeah.
Did not look like a lady.
Well, it's to say the Star Trek's been doing that before. The Telosian Keepers were women as well. That's, I had mentioned that before when we did the Menagerie. That's really not much else to add to this other than the fact that it was a lot of fun and you get to see so much development of these things. I will point out, though, actually, after Kirk fires the cannon, and this was hard to see in standard definition, but you could see it in the remastered edition and also on our high-def TVs.
He was riddled with bullet holes.
He was riddled with bullet holes, of diamond bullet holes through him. I thought that was and bleeding, by the way. That's actually pretty cool. You could not pick that up on a standard TV. Even my super cool Zenith that my dad bought in the wood cabinet. I miss it, though. So, yeah, I'm not sure. What else would you like to add to this, or what are your other questions?
I thought that it was pretty silly and not the best writing, but I also understand why they did it, where about, halfway through the fight, suddenly everyone on the Enterprise is able to see what's going on TV, just so I guess they can chime in, and that there's not so much exposition at the end. I was wondering if that was a later rewrite, where they were like, okay, take the footage that we shot and put it onto a screen for the crew to watch, so that way they're involved a little bit as well, as opposed to just us watching Kirk do everything.
No, that was actually part of the script. That was because Kirk was losing, so they were trying to show some form of mercy to the humans and the aliens on there. So that's okay.
Not bad.
We appeal to you in the name of civilization. Put a stop to this.
Your violent intent and actions demonstrate that you are not civilized.
A little clunky. In terms of on the ship, Uhura looks like $1 million as always.
Yes.
This might be the first time where Scotty has more to do than just scream into the microphone.
Yes, he says, "I can't fix shit." That's what he says.
He seems like he's pretty. He's pretty senior in his role on the bridge as a commander.
Well, he is he is actually a second officer. So you got Kirk, Spock, and then Scotty. That's the rank structure of the ship.
No joke.
Yeah, it is. That's pretty typical. So the chief engineer. So of course he would be second officer. Kirk and Spock are out. Scotty takes over. You'll see that again later. So how come Geordi wasn't in command of the ship, except in season 1? Well, who knows? You had Data and other people. But
well, because Geordi was actually in engineering for most of the time, actually getting stuff done.
That's true. So was Scotty, but he comes up to the bridge and has an engineering station right there. That's where usually Lieutenant Leslie sits by our favorite extra over there. But let's just a couple other odds and ends. This in 1968 was expensive. It was $197,086. However, since Pevney made his shooting time period and got everything done, he got his $500 bonus, so it's $197,586. What does this translate?
Well, listen, I got a bone to... Okay, no, go ahead. Okay. I got a bone to pick.
$500 in today's dollars is $4,823.05. And the total cost of this episode today in 2024 dollars is 1,905,934.44. Can't forget the 44 cents. That's crazy when you really think about it, how not only has inflation made everything on, but just how much money these things are. And remember, Desi Lou is usually putting up half the cash on these things, so it's a lot of money on these things.
They must have had a lot of faith in the product. And again, you can tell from watching it,
that's
like you
Ball.
said, there was Lost in Space, there was stuff like the Time Tunnel, but this was, hey, we're going to do one of these sci-fi shows intelligently and expertly with really good actors and really good set design and very good scripts.
Yes.
So you can see that they're trying to ascend it. Like when you look at Star Wars, there was Flash Gordon and everything. It was a weird nostalgic thing where George Lucas was making an old serial from the 40s and 50s as a modern film with all the bells and whistles.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's difficult for us to see that Star Wars to the people at the time was a modern update of a nostalgic thing, while Star Wars seems so nostalgic to us. Okay, you know what my biggest bone to pick in this episode is?
No, go ahead.
Which is why, in fact, Matt, I'm going to jump into the ratings right now.
Go ahead.
I'm giving it an 8. 8 out of 10.
Blasphemy! No, it's fine. That's fine.
Listen, I dig it. I dug everything. I felt that by the time they got to the planet, the back and forth could have been half as long.
All right.
That's it.
That's
and
fair.
Here's the main thing that I didn't like. They got the money to spend on that big, beautiful fort in the beginning. They got the money to spend on a couple of cool Gorn costumes. You know what that no one took the time to do at all for some reason?
What?
Why don't we have a single shot of the Gorn ship?
Oh, that's actually in the remastered. There's a shot of it at distance. But in the original,
I don't see it.
Oh, it's supposed to be in there. I have it on my Blu-ray DVD. I'll tell you what. I'll post it in the community tab. The Gorn ship. It kind of looks like. That's got like 2 nacelles and a central piece. But in the original, they didn't even have it. You couldn't actually see it. Yeah, the remastered is supposed to have it, but I will post an image of it. Gorn ships, the only time you actually saw a Gorn ship ever was in the FASA board games. FASA, F-A-S-A. They had the Star Trek license. They made them. They look kind of like rectangles or maybe like, I don't know, angled tetrahedrons. That's what they were, like very bulky and big and tough. That's the way they were, and that's they were when you played that board game. It was called Star Trek Starship Combat Simulator. Yes, I still have it. I made my mommy buy it for me back when I was a young one. It was like the easier version of Starfleet battles, but the Gorn were always considered tough. So that was your big moment, and you say where your thing you hated. Well, I can see that, but I'll post a picture of it. So then I guess it comes to my rating. Well, I know we talked beforehand, and I said I was going to give it a 10, but after talking about it, I'm giving it a 9, which is still pretty damn good.
Oh, I thought you were going to say a 10.5.
No, I'm going to give it a 9. There are some things, like I agree with you. The running around is a little ridiculous. The fighting when Kirk says that would have killed a regular guy, that's forget it. But I do like the fact that Cestus 3 comes back in a nice way in Deep Space Nine. I do like the effect of when they get there of the ruined colony. I do miss the black piece of cloth, though. I know that sounds a little ridiculous. Maybe I'll post that also on the community page. But
I just can't get over why they had such bad fighting, because like they had good fight choreographers.
It's a tough suit.
What's his name? But Shatner.
No?
Shatner can do good fighting. He's an athletic guy at the time.
Well, I think it has more to do with the suit. The suit is made out of rubber, and the actor can barely move in it, let alone see. So that's more likely than anything. I think that otherwise it's a very perfect kind of Star Trek episode. It hits all the points, and we also develop things. We've got new weapons named. We finally have the name of a Federation. And also, it's Starfleet is subservient to it from the way it's discussed, you know? The Federation sector, but Starfleet is helping. It's kind of like you finally get the hierarchy that you need to know, unlike just having Commissioner Ferris tell you, like, yeah, I'm taking over. In some of the books, it says it's still USPA, but that's out the window. That's United Earth Space something. But anyway, here we are. That's
when
the
does Mako get dropped?
Mako is Enterprise. Mako.
Oh, okay.
It's also the name of a really cool watch by Zelos, which is from Singapore. But that's a different topic because I like watches. What a surprise.
I'll stick with my Casio, thank you very much.
Yes, I love your Casio calculator watch. I, however, am watch obsessed, and I got a whole bunch of them. I have a bunch of Casios, too. But what else is going on with you, Mike? Anything exciting happened recently? No.
I went to a haunted attraction convention in Greater Philadelphia area. It was pretty cool. There were lots of cool animatronics. Every single man looked exactly the same. Every guy there was rotund and largely bearded and pretty good-natured. A little creepy. But, yeah, it was good. And, oh, man, I don't know. The way the other half lives, it was really fun. They had these sweet puppets that I was very, very tempted to get, even though they were $1,200. But basically, it looks like it has a fake hand, you wear this harness and it has a fake hand. So it looks like there are two hands that are holding this zombie, but your real hand is in the zombie, using it like a ventriloquist dummy.
Huh.
So it can actually turn around and jump at people. It looks very convincing. Anyway, that's what I did over the weekend because, unlike Matt, I'm a horror film fan.
Well, I'm glad you.
And I watched.
Go ahead.
Late Night with the Devil.
Well,
great horror movie, hit on Shudder. I've watched it 3 times so far.
Well, I'm glad you didn't buy that because I understand that might not be so helpful with a newborn in the house. But,
this is true.
Diapers is probably your, number one purchase. And all the accoutrement. And let me tell you, there's a lot of that accoutrement. But I saw the 45th anniversary release of Alien with my teenager who's never seen it. All he knew was the countdown alarm of the Nostromo because someone, let's just say me, made that the alarm noise to wake him up one day to get ready for school. You now have 10 minutes.
Boop,
yeah,
boop.
It's very loud.
Danger. The emergency disrupt system is now activated. The ship will detonate in T-minus 10 minutes.
And now, of course, him and his younger brother use that to make explosions with Lego all over the place. And nothing says I love you, Dad, like stepping on Lego, let me tell you. But he finally saw the whole movie Alien, and he was like, oh, and he really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. If you guys can get it, they have a nice little bit with Ridley Scott and the director of the upcoming Alien Romulus. His name I can't remember. But in the beginning, they talk about how they did some of the special effects. Would you like me to share one of those things with you?
Please.
Okay, so the alien spaceship in Aliens is not a gigantic, huge structure as you like to imagine, and is very small. It's like the mountain range it's crashed on is knee high. And Ridley Scott was saying, how are we going to make this look like realistic without it making it look cheap? So what he did was, he says, and you can see this in the film, he took a 16mm camera, filmed it, took the information or the film from that and put it on a CRT TV, which is what Ash is actually looking at. And then you actually, as the viewer, see what Ash is looking at, which is that grainy, crappy view on the screen. So it looks out of focus like you were standing in the storm, and therefore it looks bigger because you're seeing it on a tiny monitor. And it's all visual illusion. That and the fact that he used his kids as the space people entering in the ship at first because, they're smaller and they couldn't do force perspective well enough. Still pretty cool. And the movie is crazy.
Yeah,
and I got to tell you, though.
I love that movie.
I don't know. That company's really mean. That's what Aaron said. What a scumbag corporation to make their own crew, expendable. It's terrible. I went, yep. Also,
Weyland Yutani, building better worlds.
Maybe. That's what we did. Besides the usual chores and Dad ruminating, it's like, I remember when popcorn was $1. No more, tell you that much. Back in my day.
Have you brought him to see? Has he seen Aliens?
Not yet. That's next on our list of things to do. With the teenage set, sometimes it's a little difficult. We finally got to see the original Top Gun You know, we saw a whole bunch of things. We saw, we're actually going to go see Starship Troopers in our list of things to do. I'm sure the teenage boy in him will love it. When years later, he'll
love the co-ed shower scenes.
Who doesn't love the
I
co-ed
know I
shower
did.
scenes? I still love it now.
Seriously.
Seriously, it's
We're
great.
red-blooded men.
That's true. I could use a co-ed shower scene now and then, but that's another story. Anyway, so I think that pretty much wraps it up, unless there's anything else you want to tell our fair fans out there. Oh, there is something I want to tell you. Please don't forget to shop our TeePublic store. It's under Yelling at Gaseous Anomalies. We also have stickers. If you write to us and send us a self-addressed stamped envelope, or actually email me at yellingatgas@gmail.com, I might send you one of our crazy-looking little stickers out there. Mike loves the sticker of the Yelling Enterprise, by the way. You might see it across the city of New York somewhere. Come on, you love it. And, yeah, that's pretty much about it. I'd like you to like, share, and subscribe. What about you, Mike? Anything else you want to add?
As always, this is an unauthorized offer, but it's for the good of the podcast. For $1,000, you just slip that to us in a Venmo.
Oh,
you will get some fantastic, let's just say, hack fiction. Not slash fiction.
Hack fiction. Well, you know.
You're going to love it.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Your reputation might be ruined at that time. But anyway, that wraps it up for this episode of...
Yeah, great episode. Thank you, Matt.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Captain.
Next time we got something special. It's another episode called Tomorrow is Yesterday. And I'm not going to give you a hint on it, but you could probably guess from what type of episode it is by the title. And there we are, on our way back to Cestussssss 3 to rebuild and play baseball. As always, everyone, live long and prosper. Good night, Mike, and see you out there.
Live long and prosper, Captain. Thank you.
All right, take care, everyone.
Fascinating. Good. Good.